This is the Art Beauty Podcast where we tell the real truth about the fake shit. Hi, everybody. I'm Amber, and today my fabulous co-host is Dr. Diane Madfes. She is a board-certified dermatologist who specializes in dermatologic surgery. She's got offices here in New York and Connecticut. We're going to get way into that more and find out where you can find this brilliant woman. But first, I want to welcome you to the show. Thank you so much for being here, Diane.
Oh, Amber, thank you. I think I love what you do. So this is really fun for me today. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And I love it too. And I hope everybody who's listening out there that you're having a good time with us too. If you can't tell, I'm dressed in red today because we are going to be talking a little bit about LED light therapy. I've seen such a proliferation of devices coming onto the market recently. And to be honest, I don't know if I was sold at first, but from a doctor's perspective, let's kind of get into, a little bit of the science of this and what you think. To start right off the bat, can you tell us, do you believe in LED therapy?
Yes, I do. Okay, so if you look back at the history of LEDs, so much of the research was done about 10 years ago. And what they would do is they would take different LED wavelengths and shine it at the skin. And then you do a biopsy of the skin after a couple months, or you measure collagen levels, you measure DNA levels. So as technology has gotten better to measure these levels, the LED keeps evolving. But the main solid science is there, which is why you see such an explosion. Problem is, it was so expensive 10-15 years ago to manufacture solid LEDs, because what you need is a consistent level. And then it's also the amount of exposure. So a lot of the earlier devices, we'll get into that, just took way too long. So I love red light. And I like your shirt because, and I have a little red lipstick on for you today because I do like the red wavelength. We look at things like 633 nanometers in length. And the nice part about the red is that it actually gets absorbed by the organelles in the cell. So why are we doing LED? Like, what is it going to do for us? Well, it turns on the ATP, which is the energy in a mitochondria. And all our cells have mitochondria. And what that does is that creates the energy. So depending on which cell you're turning on, are you turning on fibroblasts? And are they going to stimulate some collagen production? Are you turning on anti-inflammatory cells? Are you going to help with irritated skin? So depending on what you're kind of dialing and depending on how long you're exposing, you're going to get different results in a person's skin. And then everybody's skin is so different as well.
Okay. All right. So let's kind of take a step back because you gave us a lot of great information and
things
that no, don't apologize. I love it too. But so to start with, sort of the very basics. So LED light therapy is now being used in a, cosmetic sense to help with everything I've heard from anti-aging. I know with acne, it's really popular. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah, actually,
No.
Let's go back even further because in my office, we use LED lights for anti-inflammatory post-procedure.
Okay.
So what we find is when we do laser resurfacing or someone has a lot of acne inflammation, chemical peel, you can take an LED light, expose the skin, and it will decrease the redness and the inflammation.
Okay, so right away.
Right away. So we use that in a setting for about 20 years, okay? But the transition to at-home use and for people to tailor it for what they need is a fascinating part of the market, which you see as an explosion of all these devices. So again, a red light, you're looking at like a 633 nanometer, you shine it on the skin, and it's something called photomodulation. And it changes the cells in terms of producing things or suppressing things.
Okay.
So yes, we can use it for fine stimulation of collagen. But it's not the collagen, it's the step before the collagen. So when you shine the light, you're actually stimulating something called pro-collagen. And then the pro-collagen gets broken down and then stimulates. So you get fibroblasts, which are the cells in our skin that make collagen being turned on.
Got it.
And
so this
wonderful thing.
So the lights are essentially kind of activating our cells to perform at their best, at their most optimal, or just to even activate it all.
No, see, that's the good part. It does two things. It activates, but it also suppresses at the same time, depending on what your cell is.
Okay.
So you get activation of fibroblasts, some of the cells in the extracellular matrix that turn on here's your medical, your glycosaminoglycans, which make the skin look a little bit thicker. But it also decreases some of the cytokines. And
Okay.
cytokines are the inflammatory cells in our skin. So when someone says, oh, I want to use an LED mask to go after my acne, I'm taking down some of the inflammation from the acne.
Okay.
Suppose you fell asleep in the sun by accident and you got
It's
a little bit of
happened.
a sunburn and you want to take down that redness, you can use an LED light to actually take down that inflammation because you're suppressing the cytokine pathway, which is that
Okay.
inflammation in the skin.
Now, I know we've been sort of talking about red, but can you quickly kind of go through the different colors of lights and what they're used for?
Yeah, so when you think about blue, and the way the way I remember it is when someone has acne, they're a little blue, they're a little sad. So you can use a blue wavelength. And what that does is it inhibits the bacterial activation of something called P. acnes that lives in our sebaceous glands that triggers. And then you're also going to also take down that inflammation. When you're looking, you can do a combination of red, you can do a combination of blue. Sometimes you get purple. You can do green, which is more turns on the DNA, the RNA in the cells.
Okay.
And then you can also go to something called amber, which is very anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
There was a study where they actually used green for migraines. It was
Okay.
a recent study. So I think the field, how we know more, we also know less. But that's good because it makes you start thinking and moving more. When you're looking at a wavelength of that's around like 800, the LED lights are targeting the cell membrane. So for your listeners, what that means is it's decreasing your free radicals. So
Okay.
we talk a lot about oxidative damage in cell membranes and free radicals and why we put our serums on and we protect. And so we know that this particular wavelength can also decrease lipid oxidation in our cell membrane, which leads to free radicals.
Now you keep talking about different wavelengths, and you mentioned these numbers 660, 880. Can you give, for people at home who might not kind of be clear on that, what is it that we're talking about when we see these numbers? Because I do know that that becomes an important part later, which we'll discuss, of finding the right device and an effective device. So what are these wavelength measures?
So that's the hard part because what happens is you have a full, here's my hand, a full spectrum.
Right.
And the spectrum are different. So blue can be anywhere from 4 to 500. Red can go to 6 to 8. So that's why all the different devices pick. And as long as they're in the spectrum, it's okay. They
Okay.
can work. Now, some companies have patents on a particular amount of time and a wavelength, but it doesn't mean that the one right next to it doesn't also work. So
Now,
instead of like, oh no, I need this particular wavelength, you should look at what the company is saying in terms of, well, this is our red light, this is our blue light.
okay. Now, I'm going to take this back a little bit. So for people who are maybe non-believers, I want to kind of remind people, and I'm not a scientist, but what I do remember from science 1,000 years ago, so you think about UVA, UVB, right? Those are two different types of those are wavelengths of light.
Yes.
Which are going to affect the skin at different levels. So when you're
Correct.
thinking about how can shining a red light affect my skin? Think of what happens when you're out in the sun too long. That's going to have an effect on your skin. So that was something that somebody pointed out to me that I was like, huh, okay. That to me is like a much easier way for me to understand how light can affect skin and the effects that it can have on it. I know with yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm going to interrupt you for just a sec because when you talk about UV light, you're looking at the damage to the DNA of specifically the DNA in our skin cells. So you're getting something called D-dimers, and that is a precursor for skin cancer.
Right.
Okay, so that we know this hit, these dimers happen, mutated cell. So with the LEDs, they're working on a different part of the cell. They're working
Right.
on the energy that we spoke about, the mitochondria. So that's how you're able to take something else and shine it on the skin and get a positive benefit from it.
Right. And I guess what I was trying to say, the point I was trying to make was that if people are like, how can shining a light on my skin help or hurt? I would say when you think about the UV lights, right,
Yes.
which are in a certain spectrum, we know those to be damaging, so that we are now finding that these red lights, green lights, blue lights can be actually very positive. So, I think when it comes to finding devices, because there are so many devices, I have two here. One is the DPL2A. Here's another mask by Adoro, which is a little bit of an older model. Both of these, I believe, are classified by the FDA as medical class devices. Do you have advice for people when they're kind of going online? Because I've seen things in all price points. How would we as a consumer know where to begin shopping for a device like this?
So if a device is very inexpensive, it's not going to do it.
Right.
Okay. If a device takes 30 minutes to run a cycle,
Right.
that's too long. So what you're looking at is, and the numbers don't matter in terms of how much energy is it putting out, because it's too hard. So you have to take a step back and say, okay, I want to get a device that's going to, during my flashing treatment, going to be around 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
And that should tell you, okay, it's got enough energy that it's actually going to do what it's supposed to do. Okay. Also, there should be, you have to look at the distance. Do you want to pull your mask out? Because you can look at the distance of the no, flip it over the other way. Yeah, because you can look at the distance between the lights, the diodes. Okay. Let me come back to you. And so if the distance is really far, then you're not going to get enough of an overlap.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that you get total illumination.
Okay.
So, a mask should run anywhere from about $300 to say $600.
Right.
You also want to make sure it's gonna cycle fast, clean. You also don't want it. You want an easy maintenance on it.
Yes.
And again, if the LED lights are too far apart, no, it's not going to be strong enough.
So my first one was this Adoro, and I have to say what I really liked about it. Now this is about a 20-minute cycle, so it takes a long time. And when you're telling me that maybe that's not ideal, but it does have a bunch of different lights. So you've got red, green, you've got the entire color wheel here, and pre-programmed times, as well as I think, is it IR red as well? Is up there. So, which is in the 800 range, I believe. Is that correct?
Around 830.
830. Okay.
Very good. Impressive.
I'm trying, because it's confusing. That's why I wanted to bring you on. But what I liked about this one was that it's completely portable. So I can use this and walk around here. Let's see. And you can see I've got blue. It has green. It's got programs of different, which will cycle through.
The only problem for me is how far apart the lights are.
Gotcha. And then the one that I've actually been using lately, which I purchased now, this one was the Adoro is about $320. This one is in the 400 range.
Good, by the way. Let me see.
This is the DPL2A, and this one is a 3-minute cycle, which has been easier. You're supposed to do it 3 times a day, is what they say. Great reviews on this. It has the red, the blue, and then I guess the violet if you want to do both. But it's not the most convenient, because you have to hold it over. Hold it over. I have to tell you, when I'm wearing that other mask, my husband loves to call me Dr. Doom. I mean, you have to have a good. It's funny. It causes a lot of laughs in our house. But I started this one, and you can see there's a lot more, I think, lights that are a lot closer together. You're certainly getting full reflection there, but it's not the most convenient.
No, I think that's why, everybody kind of plays around. You know what? Wait, I have one that I can show you. I don't know if you can see it. This is a Priori one that I like. The lights are a little closer together.
Gotcha. And this is also portable, right? You don't have to be plugged in.
So we have it here for my patients because this is one that I trust, but those other ones are good too. But what I like is the distance of the lights.
Got it.
And then
Okay.
and then it's only a 10-minute cycle.
And a 10-minute cycle is nice, and it's portable. And I know that Priori also has adorable ones, which I haven't seen anywhere else, for the neck and décolletage. So it's like a necklace. And then they've got them for the hands as well. And let's be honest, the hands, like I'll sit sometimes at my desk with this
You
over
see,
my hands.
I love that one for the hands.
That
Yeah, but
I mean,
my concern is 3 times a day. You shouldn't have to do that. A
got it.
cell, and there's reasons why we're in a circadian rhythm with our skin cells in the body. So really, you should only have to do it once a day and maybe twice.
Got it. And you don't want to, I mean, how do you, here's the other thing that's funny. I know people with the DPL who've had acne, and it got great reviews for acne. And I always say, if you've got problematic skin, it's easy to tell if your serum, if your skin cream, if your face wash is working, because that problem is going to either clear up or it's not. Same thing with the lights. I find that, this idea for red light and anti-aging, it's a little bit harder to kind of track that.
I love that you brought up a serum because I find that when your skin is primed and prepped after an LED, then I put on my serum.
Oh, so you use this as a prep, right? Because you're supposed to use it on clean skin, right? You don't want any other, and you definitely don't want to use it if you're wearing SPF, right? Because that could kind of block.
It won't work. Oh my God, all that time sitting there like that without it working. But after I use it, then I do put on my like a serum.
Okay.
Because the cell, think about it, like you've tilled the soil, and now it's like we're all ready for your serum. And it should never sting after you using it or something. So the only thing that sometimes I come across is like patients who have sensitive skin or problems, they run and they try every single mask out there, and then they're using the, and they're like, I'm still really red, I still have a problem. And so I'm like, okay, it's not a medical treatment for rosacea. It's not a medical treatment for, if you have an issue, you have to combine it with things, but then you get such synergy to get the balance. And it's hard to see fine lines get better.
You know what did it for me? So I am a huge fan of dermaplaning, and I've gone from, the more like electric razor versions to the flat out straight edge. There's a straight edge I use. I love it. And like occasionally I'll cut myself. It's happened before. It happened the other day. Not a big deal. It's my own fault. But what I noticed is that I believe that when I have cut myself and I'm religious with using the red light, I don't know if it's a placebo effect, but I feel like it heals faster. I do.
No. You are very smart because you actually do heal faster because you've upregulated your messenger RNA and of your fibroblasts. What that does, stimulates, and at the same time, the anti-inflammatory. So it's basically allowing your cells to heal. So that was why in the beginning we used it, and I still do, after medical procedures to get people to heal faster. And then if I have, this is so good for your people at home, because then if I have someone who say fell and they have a wound or they have a scar, I'm like, you know what? I want you to use an LED light every day. I want 10 minutes and I want to soup back up the area. And there were studies that showed that it didn't turn on some of the cancer pathways. So you always say, oh, I'm shining a lid. Is this safe? And the initial studies from years ago, and I'm sure they're retesting them to look at safety, is still really there, which is why the FDA is able to clear it as a safety device.
So I want to now ask you, speaking of safety, because it's interesting, and I've heard mixed reviews on this. Both of these masks came with these protective eyeglasses. They kind of remind me when I used to go to the tanning salon. I know, cringe.
What?
Don't come. I know. Back in the day. Hey, listen, I did. But is red light? I've heard mixed reviews that it's not going to affect the eye. It's not dangerous around the eye. What are your thoughts on that?
The safety profile is higher, and it shouldn't damage, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think everybody needs eye protection. And that's one of the problems when you have the mask on, that you want something that's efficient and kind of fast, because it's very hard for anybody to sit and
for 10 minutes.
Yeah, and when you have so much other things. So eye protection, a must,
Is a
must.
must. Okay. Because when I first started this one, I would put it on and watch TV. Obviously, no eye mask. And I'm like, you know what? That's probably not the best idea. Probably not. Okay. So make sure. And a lot of these masks now will come with the eye protection, but I guess you also want to kind of keep your eye shut, which is why I got to be honest, the 3 minutes at a time, super easy. I wonder if it's effective, but I'm doing it.
Oh, you could do a test for me. You could just do one hand and
Yeah.
don't do the hand,
And see
and
what
then
happens.
let us know.
That's a great idea, actually. And you should do that with the ones with Priori. The Priori ones are nice because it lays over the hands and you can like
Yeah.
type and do stuff with it. Super cute. I also read a really interesting study that some people might be compelled up about, and I saw there's some devices that now have hit the market for people with cold sores. Red light therapy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but I started to read that there's devices now hitting the market that are specifically targeted to people who have cold sores. But one of the things that I read that was interesting was that if you're a person who suffers from them, by doing red light therapies, they're finding that your time between outbreaks, I guess, increases. That they found that people who were regularly doing red light therapy had fewer outbreaks. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the study, but in one sense, it kind of does make sense
Right.
because what you're doing is you're down regulating a little bit of something called interleukin 6, which is one of our activating cytokines. And when that's activated, that's when you get more of the inflammation. Many times, though, people who have recurrent outbreaks are on an antiviral also.
Got it.
So it's kind of like you're taking an antiviral to suppress it, and then the red to keep the inflammation down.
Okay.
So in my mind, and I will go look at the study, but in my mind, a combination of the two makes me really happy.
Got it. So it sounds like from everything that you're saying that this, it's not a miracle device, let's say, but a really good tool to have in your kit if you can afford it.
Yes, and
Okay.
it is good. So one of my favorite things is that you have to wash your face so your face is clean before you use an LED light. So I find that people are a little more aware of some of the little bumps or little spots that they might have on their skin. So in people taking better care of their skin, I'm always super happy because as a dermatologist, one of our main things is preventing skin cancer and finding things early. So if everyone's washing their face, to then put their LED light to downregulate, I'm very happy because then if something changes, they'll know pretty quickly.
Got it. And so here we have a dermatologist who's saying, again, that shining these lights is not going to be a danger to our skin the same way as going to a tanning salon. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, it's like two totally different things. This is more of a collagen stimulator. You get increased fibroblasts, you get increased collagen, you get an increase in growth factors. So, and those are all the things that are helping our skin, number one, heal. And then number two, actually kind of revert to pre-sun damage. So additionally, as long as you're using an LED light, you really need to protect against future sun exposure. So
Always.
you don't want to go through wearing these, getting your skin better, and then you're like taking 2 steps back again because you're getting UV exposure. So you must use every single morning your sunblock, your protection. You have to protect against your blue light, your computer screen. So it shouldn't even be an issue. You wake up, brush your teeth, wash your face, put on whatever you may, and then your UV protection.
You mentioned something there that didn't even hit me until now. So when we talk about these LED lights and that blue light is great for acne, how is that
different type of blue light?
That's a different type of blue light than what we're getting from our screens.
Yes, we're talking about a blue light, a specific wavelength that's going to stimulate, and it's called photomodulation. Thank you so much for stopping me. Thank you. Because what we get incidental is not what the LED blue light is.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Thank you for clearing that up. So is there any right way to sort of use these, or if we're wanting to start on an LED, program or incorporate this into our toolbox, what's the best way to do it?
So number one, if you have any active medical condition like underlying rosacea, allergy to makeup, anything like that, make sure you get clearance from your doctor first, okay? Because you want to treat whatever underlying so that you get the most benefit from your LED. So then I would pick an LED, a red light. You don't need a combination to start. Just get a simple one that's going to cycle anywhere from like 10 to 15 minutes, and wash your face at night. I love it on the face. I find that when people take 10 minutes just to lie down, close your eyes, you really get good positive feedback for other parts of your body as well. And then put your serum on and go to sleep.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that people do is they try to do all their routine before they fall asleep, but then they're on their computer again. Then they're doing all their other things. So they're kind of missing the benefit of really getting that circadian rhythm to reset on your skin cells. So I find at night before you go to sleep is a better time. Now, everyone is very busy. So some people are like, no, I want to do it before I cook dinner or whatever.
Right.
So I'm happy that they're using it. However, they're going to get the most benefit in a routine, and at night is really the easiest way to do it.
Great. And that won't affect, that light won't affect our sleep cycles.
No.
Okay, great.
In fact, there's been some studies looking at sleep and circadian rhythms, and maybe LED resets you so those skin cells do better regenerative. Yeah, I just read an article the other day about this. So it's interesting what you read and then it sticks in your head.
Yeah.
And that's why I try, and when someone asks me, I try to have them start on it. I'm like, you're getting ready for bed. You can take 10 to 15 minutes, do your routine, shine your light, and then take the light off, put your serum, and go to sleep.
And listen to this podcast in the meantime, right?
And
Listen, shut your eyes. You don't need to look anything. You can shut your eyes, listen to this podcast, and have a great time. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Madfes, for being on, for explaining this. It does sound like it is, relatively, while it's been tested science, we're kind of like on the forefront of a lot of these at-home devices and what's coming up. And I think that it really helped, to get some guidance from you on what we could be looking at in terms of doing this. And I really want to thank you. Yeah. If people want to reach out to you, if they're in the New York area or the Connecticut area, where can they find you?
Oh, you know what? It's easy. You can Google us on madfesderm.com, or we're in Manhattan. We're at 1 East 69th Street, and we're in Greenwich at 4 Deerfield. We're here. I'm so lucky because we do a lot of intervention and aging and education. And I that's why I'm so grateful to you, because people are going to take better care of their skin, because our skin is with us, forever.
Yeah.
And a little attention now, you get so much more benefit later. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate having you on. And of course, listeners at home, if you have any questions you want to pass on to Dr. Madfes, if you want to send them to me, you're always welcome to do that. You can email me at hello@artbeautypodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.